Thank you all for being here. Such a momentous occasion. My name is Melanie Norton, and I'm the Vice President for Development and Alumni Engagement here at DePauw University. It is my honor to welcome you to Hoover Hall. Thank you so much for being here in this space and on this day for the dedication of a very special building and transformational addition to the DePauw University campus. On Saturday, May 14th, 2014, we stood on this very spot. 6 visionary individuals cast a golden shovel into the ground and set this amazing journey into motion. Then President Brian Casey, James B. Stewart, Sarah and John Wallace, and Dave and Suzanne Hoover. The 29 months that followed have changed this campus forever. This magnificent building fills a purpose far beyond food or shelter. It invites a new heartbeat to the center of campus and changes the way those who live and learn here will connect, interact, and collaborate. It will feed us in ways beyond the obvious, and its influence will be felt for generations to come. To share in the significance that this space holds for our campus, please help me welcome our 20th president, Dr. Mark Mccoy.
I want to say thank you to everyone involved in the race to get this finished. The rain has been interesting, and then beautiful weather, and we'll all line up tonight and take turns giving Dick Vance and Tony Robertson drinks because you've made this happen. I understand they were still here clearing it out at 3 a.m. Earlier this year, Tony gave a speech where he said Hoover Hall will be completed at 4:58 p.m. on this Friday, and he lived up to their expectation. But the dream of this building and this space began long before the shovels entered the ground. Before there were case statements, renderings, blueprints, or permits, there was an idea and a passion to make a difference. This building's most generous benefactors, Dave and Suzanne Hoover, recognized that DePauw builds lifelong relationships through a strong sense of community. And that community needed a place to meet, to eat, to interact, and to share. In Hoover Hall, the opportunity to fulfill our most basic need for nourishment will also encourage us to join together, connect, and to create a culture of sharing and belonging. Dave and Suzanne Anderson Hoover graduated from DePauw in 1967 and will soon celebrate their 50th class reunion. Their story started at DePauw. Dave earned a degree in economics, and Suzanne a degree in history, and together they attended graduate school at IU. Dave pursued business and a successful career as chairman and chief executive officer of the Ball Corporation in Muncie, Indiana, and you do not have to travel far in Muncie to see the impact of the Ball name, and its influence is felt in these walls as well. Suzanne taught high school and middle school and was president of the Muncie Community School Corporation Board of Directors. The Hoovers' longtime leadership and support of DePauw is exemplary, as is the impact of their personal lives and their family accomplishments. They have made commitments to DePauw of over $30 million, some $21 million for this building and another $9 million in support of their existing commitment to student access and to scholarships. In the gift announcement released in October of 2012, the Hoovers shared that their time at DePauw prepared them in ways they could never have imagined. They referenced this extraordinary commitment as their opportunity to further strengthen a college that has meant so much to them. And they continued their legacy of leading by example, expressing hope that their philanthropy would encourage others to step forward to support the extraordinary education provided on this campus. I'm happy to report that their philanthropy has encouraged the philanthropy of others, as our successful campaign clearly demonstrates. The beauty and magnificence of this space is clear to all of us, and it will enhance the DePauw experience for the thousands of lives that will pass through these doors. Winston Churchill once said, "We shape our buildings. Thereafter, they shape us." It is remarkable to think of the ways this building will shape DePauw. How many students, like Dave and Suzanne, will meet their lifelong companion within these walls? How many times will a professor start a conversation over a meal that completely changes the trajectory of a student's life? How many friendships will be made and deepened here? How many problems solved? How many questions answered? How many imponderables will be pondered within these walls? Such moments are the fabric of the rich and rewarding DePauw experience, and now have a home here in Hoover Hall. DePauw changes lives. Hoover Hall will change DePauw. To Dave and Suzanne, all of our donors, and the hundreds of workers who have invested their time, talent, and treasure in the construction of this hall, to each of you, I extend my and our deepest gratitude on behalf of the faculty, the staff, the students, the administration, the alumni, the parents, and the friends of DePauw. May this building bless our campus for generations to come. It is now my pleasure to invite Doug Smith to the podium to help us recognize the artistry of this beautiful Hoover Hall. Doug is a member of the DePauw class of 1985. He's also a 1990 graduate of the Harvard Business School. As a trustee and chairman of our Buildings and Grounds Committee, Doug has overseen more than $70 million in construction projects on this campus. He funded the East College Lawn Project, which, like Hoover Hall, serves as a critical part of the restoring of the historical core of DePauw's campus. Please join me in welcoming Doug Smith.
Well, it is indeed a pleasure to be in front of you today. This has been something that we knew would transform the university, and I think as we all walked up here today, we recognize that it will transform the university. Dr. McCoy spoke about Dave and Suzanne's thoughtful vision for the purpose of this iconic building. I wanted to take a moment and talk about how equally important it was, Dave and Suzanne's vision for the building itself. They understood the opportunity in front of them, the importance of this structure in the plan for DePauw, and they dared to dream big. Their sincere love of DePauw and their passion for this project was evident anytime anyone spoke to Dave and Suzanne about this project. So it made transforming that vision into reality that much easier. Hoover Hall is a key component of helping to redefine the campus core. Taking the vision of Hoover Hall to the reality of Hoover Hall was a considerable feat. It involved assembling a team that understood the vision and could execute the plan on time and on budget. That was no easy task, so I'd like to take a moment and recognize some of the people who helped get us here today. I knew we were on to something special when we chose the architectural firm of Robert A. M. Stern. The firm is known for their ability to consistently design timeless structures that define the spaces where they're built. Hopefully when you walked up here today and looked at Hoover Hall, it felt like it had been here for a long time. The integration of this space into this campus core, I think they did a spectacular job of that. Their attention to detail is legendary. I encourage you to take a thoughtful moment and look at all the intricate details that make Hoover Hall the latest addition to their impressive body of work. So I would like to recognize and thank Robert A. M. Stern Architects, and specifically Sean Foley and Preston Gumbersitz, for their impressive interpretation of their vision and their passion for this project. Next, I'd like to acknowledge the team who was responsible for bringing those architectural drawings to life. They understood the magnitude of this project and demanded excellence from the team and the group of contractors they chose to execute the project. Not only did they flawlessly execute the plan, but also we're presently at 145,000 man-hours without any safety violations or injury. Truly remarkable. So let's thank Turner Construction, and specifically Shane Hill and Jerry Morris, for their incredible work. Now it's time to recognize the more than 1,000 craftsmen and women who worked on this building. From the excavation crew to the steel workers to the electricians and the finish and mill workers, everyone in between, the artistry demonstrated in this hall was nothing short of amazing. I think as I walked around and looked at construction going on, and walked it once with Dave, and the brick crew was out here, I learned that one of Dave's many skills was in the summers, he was a brick mason's helper. So the brick masons knew to do good work here, so admire that work, because Dave made sure it was done well. As many of you know, I'm in the construction industry, so it's really easy when you walk a job site to understand whether somebody's just doing a day, just doing time, or whether they really have passion in what they do. It was so evident from all the people that were working on this building that they understood the importance of this structure to DePauw University and the longevity of this project. So they were very skilled craftsmen and women, and please admire their work. Now I'd like to recognize and thank Bon Appetit, our food service partner. They were partners with us throughout the process in helping to design the space. And specifically, I'd like to thank Jason Rose and Janice Moore, who shared their expertise during the process and embraced the daunting task of this grand opening event. I guess there is nothing like baptism by fire. More importantly, I'd like to spend a couple minutes and thank those on campus who made a big part of their daily work shepherding this project to conclusion. Without the capable staff here at DePauw University, who cared for every detail in this building, this moment would not have been possible. They are the unsung heroes of this work and so much that goes on at DePauw. First, there's Dick Vance, Associate Vice President of Facilities. Dick, I think next to the Cubs possibly winning the World Series, this should rank right up there on your list of accomplishments. Dick's always been a key component of setting the bar high and challenging people to get there. Day-to-day within this project was Warren Witzel. He was a project manager. He came on about halfway through. Had great project management experience. His attention to detail on everything within this project helped execute it and get us to the finish line. So Warren, thank you for all your great work. There's a couple more folks I'd like to recognize. Bruce Clute, who's the Auxiliary Services Director. He came to DePauw within the last year, but during that period he's been here, you can see the changes in our relationships with people within the Greencastle community, some of the contractors and everything of that sort. So Bruce did a great job with that. And finally, there's Brad Kelshammer, the Executive Vice President for Finance and Administration. Brad's really a unique individual. I think Dr. McCoy has said many times, we have the best Vice President of Finance and Higher Education, and I would second that. He's a phenomenal. His passion for details, for everything that goes on here, makes DePauw a better place. Before I conclude, I wanted to share just a brief story with you. I began my remarks by talking about the inspiring vision Dave and Suzanne had for this building. Well, Dave and I happened to be on campus early in September. And pretty much the exterior of the buildings were all done. And many of you know that Dave and I are passionate followers of the Hoover Cam on the DePauw website. You see a great vision from the academic quad back to the building. You see it from the Performing Arts Center back here, but you never really see the front of the building, the prime facade as you walked in. So Dave and I were walking from the administration building over to this. And we both had a little spring in our step because we were kind of excited to see what that facade looked like. And as we rounded the corner of East College, you caught that facade for the first time. And at that point, Dave literally stopped in his steps and it took his breath away. His vision had become a reality. And at that point in time, you had two grown men about ready to cry. Dave for seeing that vision come to reality, and myself very thankful for everybody who got us to this point today. So with that, friends, I'm honored to recognize the couples whose names grace this building to the podium tonight. Please help me in giving a warm welcome and an outpouring of gratitude to Dave and Suzanne Hoover.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks to Doug for his kind remarks, and to Dr. Mccoy, and to the entire DePauw community. And a special thanks to a number of members of our family who are here with us tonight, and lots of friends who made the trip especially for this dedication. We're really glad that they could be with us, along with all of our current DePauw friends. It has been a long journey since we began even thinking about this and making our commitment. 2.5 years in process, as was mentioned, for building the building. But it has been an exciting one, and definitely worth the wait now that we are inside and can see what it looks like. The very beginning of the process, we were fortunate to get to make a trip with Brian Casey, our president at the time, and with Jim Stewart and Sarah Wallace and Dick Vance to visit architectural firms, all of which were on the East Coast. And it was an interesting process talking with them and seeing, kind of how they responded to the RFP and all of that. But when we went into the offices of Robert A.M. Stern in New York, it was really apparent almost from the moment we entered that they were genuinely excited about taking on this project. Brian seemed to question whether they'd want to do a project at this little school in Indiana, but they saw the vision for it. They saw what it was going to mean to the campus to have a building like this located where it was, that it would be more than just a dining hall. It would be a place for people to gather and get to know each other and to work together and so forth. And so that day in the meeting, and this was just, we haven't selected them yet, we're still talking to people, they came forward with all sorts of really good ideas, and they had actually made a model of a building that potentially could be this dining hall. So we all gathered around the table, and as we're talking, they'd say, well, now we have this way, but you could change it, and they'd pick up a piece of this model and move it over there, and so you could visually see what they had in mind. So it was really not that difficult to make the decision to choose them as our architects. And for the whole time that they worked this building with Preston Gumbrich and Sean Foley kind of as the lead with their entire team, you saw that same kind of excitement and enthusiasm for what it was they were doing. And they did not disappoint at all in the final product. They paid great attention to detail. At one point, I was told that they asked that the light switch be moved 1/2 inch because it wasn't right where it was supposed to be, that sort of thing. They had all sorts of wonderful ideas for both form and function, because this building has to work for its purpose, along with looking beautiful. So they brought all that to where we are today in this lovely facility. And Turner Construction, with Jerry Morris at the head, then took those plans and along with their hundreds of subs, brought it all to reality, to where we are today. Jason Rose with Bon Appetit worked along with these teams to design the kitchen, which is below us. It's an 18,000 square foot kitchen, very impressive, and the servery as well. And they worked very closely to be sure it was equipped the way it needed to be to do the work in feeding the hundreds of students every day. So it's going to be fantastic. And then Jerry Whitesell, as was mentioned, came on as kind of DePauw's point man on this building in particular, working along with others. And then last but not least, there's Dick Vance, who was mentioned. Dick heads up all the projects on campus, and so for the last several years, as trustees know for sure, and all the staff, he's been a very busy person. We've had tons of things going on with renovations, expansion, a new soccer field, expansion of the current fields, just all over the campus there have been things going on, and he was overseeing all of that. But one of his more dubious honors was that he got to be our point man as well. And what that meant was quite frequently, numerous times a week, he was getting emails from David with a question about this or a question about that, an occasional phone call, just, I've looked at the cam and I saw this, so what's going on, And then when we were on campus, he would, every time we came, he gave us a personal tour once the building was at a point where tours were possible. And this was really great. It kind of kept us in the loop so we could see how it was progressing. And at one point, he got to take on a job that I'm absolutely sure he didn't expect, and that was to be a personal shopper. We came to campus one time for a meeting, and it was nice weather, very warm outside, so thinking nothing about the fact that we were going to tour the building, I came with shoes that went with my outfits, and they were all sandals. Well, in a construction site, you're not allowed to go without closed-toed shoes. Now, I actually, honestly, Dick, thought you might just skip over that, but not to be. They don't have a perfect safety record for nothing. So he said, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. What size shoe do you wear? So I told him. And I sort of thought he'd just go back to the office and find some nice person there who wore the same size shoe I did and borrow a pair of tennis shoes and let me come. So when we came for the tour, here's Dick with a brand new pair of hiking boots and socks for me to wear. So I put them on and we did our tour, and then he said, now you can keep those, you can take them home. But as some of my good friends know, I'm not a minimalist when it comes to packing, and I just really didn't have room for hiking boots. So I left them with Dick, and that turned out to be a good thing because the next time we came to tour, Sarah Wallace was with us, and she was in sandals. So Dick goes off to his office, finds the hiking boots and the socks, and lets Sarah wear those. So he just kind of was covering all the bases with us, and we so much appreciate all of his attention to detail as well and making sure things came out. This afternoon, we wandered in to look around a little bit. I didn't want to be totally surprised. And after we'd been through the building and down to the kitchen and we came back up, we were standing back there looking into this room, and he turned to me and he said, does this look like the model? Does this look like the drawings? And I said, yes. And he just got this big smile on his face, and he said, that's my job. What you saw, what you were dreaming of, needs to come true. And this was it. It's just perfect. So thank you, Dick. And thank you all.
So, what a beautiful building, huh? As Suzanne said, although it's been in process for many months, and as you've been hearing, I've been here several times. Anytime I'd get to Indianapolis and had an extra half day, I'd try to get down here and look around, poke around. And seeing it really as it is, as it's in operation, it just blows me away. So I want to second all of Suzanne's thank yous. So I was reflecting on my DePauw ties, which started in the mid-'60s as a student, and the last 15 or so years as a trustee. And I'd served on the Board of Visitors for a few years, and I got a call, I think it was in 2001, from my longtime friend and fellow waiter at the Alpha Chi House, Max Hittle, and Mike Main, and they were asking me, would you like to consider being a trustee at DePauw? And, you know, being a pretty pragmatic person, I called President Bob Bottoms, who's, Bob and Gwen, it's really nice that you're here tonight. It's so nice to see you. And anyway, so I asked Bob, I said, so Bob, what's this going to cost me? And we were chatting earlier, and he remembers this conversation. So I'm not, this isn't made up. At any rate, he said, you know, we just hope that you'll make it one of your philanthropic priorities. And he told me this little story. He said when he was head of development here, he accompanied President Rosser to Chicago to visit a fellow who they were going to ask for $2 million. And this person gave them $2 million. And they later found out that he was prepared to give them $5 million. So he doesn't try to direct you or talk to you about how much to give, but think about that. There's a whole lot of information in a very few words there if you're on the hook, and, you know. So that conversation was the most expensive telephone call in my life. And as you've heard and as we all know, Brian Casey came here as president, succeeding Bob in 2008 with a lot of help. But he led us through a process of a campus plan, which turned later into DePauw 2020. And as Suzanne was saying, all you have to do is walk around and look around this campus to think about all the change and the positive change that's occurred in the last few years here to the physical part of the campus. And we're very appreciative for his leadership in that regard. He can't be here tonight because it's family weekend at that little school out east, Colgate, that he's now president of. But we do want to thank him. He helped Suzanne and me decide to fund this dining hall. And seeing it tonight, it's even better than we expected. We hope and expect it to be a place where people connect, communicate, build relationships, and improve and strengthen DePauw's culture. We're so pleased to be here with you all tonight and to dedicate this building. And we want to thank you all for your good wishes and for sharing in this wonderful evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave and Suzanne, for your inspiring remarks and all you've done. As we prepare to share the inaugural meal in Hoover Hall, I ask that you help us recognize the other alumni and friends who made the completion of this stunning facility a possibility. Sarah Reese Wallace, class of 1976, and John H. Wallace, class of 1976. James B. Stewart, class of 1973. The Wallaces and Jim have named the beautiful Wallace Stewart Commons, which is on the other corner of this building. I know you'll have a chance to take a look. I'd also like to thank those who've named special dining rooms in this hall. Don R. Dasky, class of 1961, and Barbara Dasky. Marletta Farrier Darnell, class of 61, and Robert J. Darnell. Gilbert H. Reese, class of 1979, could not be with us tonight. And we also have 2 anonymous donors who helped name the Betty Locke Hamilton Room. Thank you to the Daskys, the Darnells, Gil, and our anonymous donors for the special rooms in this building. Also unable to be with us tonight is Mark A. Philippel, class of 1975, and his wife Buffy Gordon Philippel. They named the fireplace in this dining room. And Ken W. Cocolette, class of 1982, and his wife Carrie Malin Cocolette, also class of 1982, named the beautiful fireplace in the Wallace Stewart Commons. Right now I'm going to invite two of my staff members up, and they're going to help us unfurl a ribbon. I would like to invite the Hoovers to the front, and they get to decide who gets the really big scissors. Yeah, right in front of the podium. And Bill, if you want to head that way. Bill, if you want to head that way, just a little. We'll center up the ribbon just a little. I'd also like to invite Dick Vance and Dr. McCoy on either side of the Hoovers, and all of the other donors that I just mentioned, to please come up to the front for a photo and the official cutting of the ribbon. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to officially welcome you to the opening of R. David and Suzanne Anderson Hoover Hall. As a token of our appreciation, each of these donors this evening will receive a rendering of the elevations of the building, and the Hoovers will get all sides. So. Thank you again for being here this evening. I hope that you will explore the building on this level, since the food service folks are helping us prepare for dinner. And we will start dinner at 7 o'clock p.m. Thank you so much for being here.